Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. It's brother Ijaz Ahmad. Can you guess what time it is?
Hammer time!
That's right, David. It is hammer time. So very quickly, a very quick refutation. David Wood put out a video claiming that the Qur'an has been changed or corrupted. Let's look at this claim a bit more quickly. So here's my challenge to David and any other Christian missionary that uses that video as an argument. Go to your local masjid, and Muslims can do the same thing. Go to your local masjid, go to your sheikh who has memorized the Qur'an and ask to see his ijazah, or basically his certification to recite the Qur'an. And so when you look at this ijazah, normally it will have isnad, or a chain of transmission, which shows who his teachers were, going back all the way to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so when you look at this ijazah, try to find an unknown manuscript by an unknown author and see if it's mentioned there. You're not going to find that. Therefore, it does not affect the transmission of the Qur'an. On the other hand, let's assume that I am wrong. You go to the King Fahd complex where they print copies of the Qur'an. You knock on the door and you ask them, hey, this unknown manuscript by an unknown scribe, do you use that manuscript in your printing of the Qur'an? They'll tell you, no, we don't. Therefore, that's 2 quick refutations, less than 10 seconds. The only people who this might matter to are people who fundamentally do not understand what the Qur'an is and how it is transmitted. When Muslims say that the Qur'an has been preserved letter for letter, dot for dot, what we mean by that is that we see the mistakes as mistakes and we leave them. We don't take the mistakes and then put them into our tradition and then change the Qur'an as a result of these mistakes. You'll notice that neither David nor the Christian scholar he appeals to in the video makes that point. In fact, if you watch that video, you will have seen that the scholar himself, quasi-scholar really, he keeps saying possibly or probably, because it's really guesswork at this point in time. This manuscript holds no authority over the Mus'haf of today. It's just that easy and simple. So I do have to point out that the man in David Wood's video spent 10 years researching Quranic manuscripts only to produce such a bad argument. I would feel bad as well.
Hello darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
On the other hand, Christians themselves have to rely on a manuscript tradition to reconstruct the New Testament. The earliest manuscript they have is a credit card sized manuscript called P52. And even in that credit card sized manuscript, there is a major variant. Let's take a quick look at it. So Roy Kotansky, on a paper on academia.edu, he actually writes about P52, the famous John Rylands fragment, sometimes dated to as early as circa 100 to 125 CE, our oldest New Testament papyrus, as short as it is, already gives a variant, the omission of a second aistautu in John, in a lacuna whose space is not large enough to accommodate the phrase, hence the editorial emendation in all published versions of the text. How are we to understand this omission? Is it simply a scribal error? Regardless of the cause, our concern is that arguably the most important New Testament papyrus manuscript appears to show an error or variant in so small a fragment at such an early period, that is, one not chronologically far removed from a putative autograph. Here he means original. Percentage-wise, this represents a potentially huge omission among the so few letters preserved on the fragment. How many more could there have been in the whole of the original text of P52's copy of the Gospel of John? Guarantee that someone like David Wood or the man whose video he used would answer a question regarding this. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can follow me on my new Twitter account. You can find it in the description. Assalamu alaikum.